You're listening to Shoe In, covering the ins and outs of all things footwear, from sneakers to heels, loafers to slippers, and every type of shoe in between. Brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear.
Hey, welcome to another edition of Shoe and Show. Sabria, I'm so glad that you've joined us for this conversation because one of the things that you and I have talked about, and we've talked about this with Dr. Dwayne Edwards, is that he likes to say when you look at a shoe box and you look at that shoe box, there are 10 design jobs that are associated with that shoe box. But as you and I know, we work in the broad industry, so we're not just design, we're intellectual property protection, we're business management, we're sourcing, supply chain. We cover the gamut when it comes to footwear. And our guest today is starting this a new initiative. I saw him with Chris Burns on Chris Burns' podcast, but he's starting a new initiative with some really heavy hitters in the Brooklyn community, the Dumbo neighborhood in Brooklyn. And that's one Sean Williams. Sean, you have been on Shoe and Show before. You're an entrepreneur. You're a content curator. You are a trailblazer with Obsessive Sneaker Disorder, your podcast, which was the first. You're the godfather of sneaker podcasting and footwear podcasting. But I want to welcome you first to the program and dive into this new initiative, the SOLEcial Studies CommUNITY Academy there in Dumbo. Talk to us about, one, welcome, and then talk to us about how you decided to do this or why you decided to do this and some of the details about it.
Oh man, where do we begin? Hey Sabria, and thanks for having me back, Matt. This has been a 12 and a half year journey that we've been on to finally get to where we are with the SOLEcial Studies CommUNITY Academy. But it actually really starts 16 years ago, almost, when, as you mentioned in the intro, D and I started. My partner D Wells and I started Obsessive Sneaker Disorder. So being the first sneaker podcast in the industry, we were able, through the success of the podcast, be exposed to a lot of things that the average sneaker lover probably wouldn't be exposed to. We were kind of allowed to immerse ourselves in the business, and meeting people behind the scenes that work in some of these professional areas that we never envisioned we'd ever meet, because it was for us really about just the love of shoes. So when we started OSD in 2007, it was to give people a voice for sneakers. And, like I told you before, when we wanted to start the show, people said, "You guys are crazy. No one's going to ever listen to you guys talk about sneakers." And that led to opportunities a few years later through the success of the show, to us really talking with people who are behind the scenes in the industry and realizing that there was a need for a bridge between the industry and the community itself that was outside of the design realm. Because we were already friends with Dwayne and with what he's been doing with Pensole Footwear Design Academy, now Pensole Lewis College. We were already well immersed in what it was going to take to educate and empower people, but Dwayne was teaching design, and we came straight from New York, straight from hip hop, straight from all the other non-design related experiences and jobs tied to sneakers. We also had D and I a big corporate background. So D comes from finance and mortgage banking, and me from the corporate side. I have 30 years of procurement, sourcing, and vendor relations. So we were pretty well versed on what other jobs behind the scenes look like, and then being exposed to people working in the industry and coming up with a solution based on the conversations and the situations we were in as consultants. We decided to start SOLEcial Studies in 2011. And it was actually Dwayne who gave our program the name SOLEcial Studies. Fast forward to around 2018, and we've already been doing social studies for a long time. And, of course, as inspired by seeing everything that Dwayne was accomplishing and achieving, we realized that we could have our own space too. We should have a community-based focus, especially in the areas of the cities we lived in where people need it. And in particular in New York, the sneaker capital of the world, the hip hop capital of the world, where it all got started. So in 2018, we started that quest to open the Social Studies Community Academy. And of course, COVID knocks off 2.5 years off that in really making some progress. And finally, as we're quote unquote coming out of COVID, some opportunities came up, not just for opening the academy, but for myself personally through some exhibitions that I've been curating. I've curated quite a few exhibitions. Dee and I have since 2013, but in particular since 2019, a lot of doors have opened for us based on the exhibitions that we've been curating. We've had sneaker exhibitions since 2019 seen by over 12 million people. So when you have exposure of your exhibitions and your curation and your storytelling through sneakers to that many people, a lot of opportunities begin to come. So we started to pick up that steam again on really trying to build out what is now the Social Studies Community Academy. And COVID kind of was the gift and the curse. And yeah, we lost progress on it, but we also gained in that because of work from home and a lot of opportunities for people to reformat how people work at their companies, we ended up here in a space that is just in the second most expensive neighborhood in New York. And, we took advantage of what I think some of the real estate, and property owners are dealing with, in that they need people to occupy space. So from a business perspective, the timing was right. But since 2018, we have been really trying to get this set up. And a lot of opportunities have finally come through the exhibitions and through all of the work we've done. Some of that work. You guys, Matt, Sabria, you guys know some of that work. So it's finally starting to really, come back to us in a way where the opportunities have come. So the Social Studies Community Academy will be where we teach social studies. It will also be where we produce podcast content for ourselves and for others. There'll be a lot of that going on. There'll be small exhibitions. We're also going to showcase new artists. I have a gallery wall here where every couple of months we'll take a different artist and showcase some of their work. And we also have, because I'm a big Web3 tech advocate, we have a library called, and considering, FDRA is based in DC, this is called the Library of Laces. So it's a sneaker book library that, it contains books about sneakers, hip hop culture, art, illustration, all the other derivatives and things that kind of go into sneakers and sneaker culture. All those books are here. But the twist is, because I'm a Web3 advocate, all of our books have NFC chips in them, so that when the borrower takes the books out, they get issued an NFT through scanning the NFC chip on the book. So our inventory is totally managed in a blockchain. And to my knowledge, we're the first library of its kind to ever manage our books that way. I could be wrong, but from what I've been told and talking to people who, I've been in the Web3 space with, no one's thought about this use case application yet. So we're happy to implement that and use books, sneakers and art as sort of that easy bridge to Web3 technology for folks, because it's scary still to a lot of folks. So being able to use common objects like books, sneakers, and art, and get them to now finally engage with the technology through these common items that they are, coming across and engaging with every day, is one of the things that we really are happy about here. Some great charitable partners, my partner, Steve Muir, and his family, that have been running the Healing Souls organization for about 10 years now, family run. They take in shoes, clean them up, and distribute them throughout New York, throughout the US, and throughout the Caribbean. They also do clothes and perishable food and things like that. They've been an organization we worked with for a while, and they've been on the journey with us. And, on, blessed, the celebrity tip, good friend, my friend Ali Shahid Mohammed from A Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah, I'm bugging out over this one. Pun intended, my friend.
I got that. Lucy Pearl, and now The Midnight Hour, which is the group he and Adrian Young are in together, the band that tours and they score music for a lot of TV shows. Ali's originally from Brooklyn. He's been a longtime friend and supporter of everything OSD has done. So when the opportunity came to ask him if he wanted to be a part of this, because he loves Brooklyn so much, even though he hasn't been here for a while, busy away at work, it just made sense for him. I didn't have to do much twisting of his arm to say, come be a part of this. So we're lucky to have the people that we have as co-founding partners in this, because it's people who we've either been doing the work with for a long time or they've already been supporting what we've done as social studies, as OSD, and even some of the work, we've done with Pencil. So this was finally culminating into what we like to say sometimes is an easy layup.
That sounds like it. I have to say, I'm bugging out because Midnight Marauders and the Low End Theory were like the soundtracks of my college. I'm dating myself with Sabria, but the soundtracks of my college years. And man, that's super exciting. But what I'm really excited about, and Sabria, I'll want to bring you into this conversation as well, is because we have been longing for driving more information out to a broad base, a diverse community of people who have a desire and a passion for sneaker culture, for the sneaker industry, to know about the jobs that are in our industry beyond the design point. And we started this conversation there. And I think you're serving a need where we'd love to talk to people about global logistics for footwear and sneaker. We'd love to talk to people about distribution here in the US. We'd love to talk to people about being a general counsel and what that means. All those jobs are really critically important. Sabria, what are your thoughts as you hear about this academy from your perspective and someone who manages and runs the Black Footwear Forum for FDRA? I think you've got to be excited as well.
Yeah, I'm super excited. One of the questions that I wanted to ask is why those topics. I was reading your press release and I noticed you mentioned intellectual property, business networking. You talked about Web3 technology and NIL. Like, why those specific topics? Why are those important to the community?
So, NIL is something that, as of the last couple of years, you hear those three letters everywhere, but no one really quite knows what they mean. And on top of not knowing quite what they mean, people don't know how it works for and against them. And there's a lot of young athletes in the New York City area, especially in basketball, who, quite honestly, they get exploited. And a lot of people take advantage of their talent. And because their talent is the main thing that they get, I hate to use this word, but harvested for, those folks are never taught about the other ways that they could kind of feed themselves and make money for themselves and even take advantage of their own IP, their own image and likeness. So when the rules changed for the NCAA, there was actually a trickle-down effect for even the younger athletes who were on that same track that they needed to be aware of. And no one's teaching it. There's people who are still in certain spaces talking about NIL, but this shouldn't be a siloed and quiet conversation in certain circles. It should be out in the open. So NIL is important to us for that reason. And then, teaching about IP or intellectual property. What is it? How do you make money off of it? How do you protect it? There's so many of us young people, people of all ages, not just young people, but people of all ages who are putting things out there on social media and in different circles and not realizing that it's their intellectual property that they're sharing and not putting out there in a way where it's protected. They're not understanding that, and this has come up a lot because of TikTok, Sabria, that a lot of creators are coming up with things and they're not being compensated for it. And some of the things that they come up with are being taken and credits not given. And there's so many dynamics to how people's IP is being taken away from them and not being compensated. The narrative behind who created it is not there. So there's a complicated situation which is kind of messy, but I think the root of it is in people understanding what IP is and then knowing all the other things. What is your IP? How can you monetize that? And then what are you supposed to be doing to protect it while you're out there trying to make money off of it? These are things that just are not happening in the common everyday circle among regular people that the Social Studies Community Academy wants to bring out. So, working with people like Ali Shahid Mohammed, whose group Tribe Called Quest has been, their artwork and imagery has been taken and stolen tons of times over the years for various reasons by some big brands who've done it without permission.
Oh my gosh.
So, being cognizant, just even through those personal experiences of friends of ours through in the industry, we saw that there was a need for IP.
Sean, let me ask you this. This is going to be in the Dumbo neighborhood, Brooklyn,
Yep.
the base of the Manhattan Bridge, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Tell me what's unique about this neighborhood. I know you are biased, but what is unique about this neighborhood as to be the perfect place for the Social Studies Community Academy?
So Dumbo is, fortunately but unfortunately, full of a wealth of a bunch of things. It's a tourist destination when people come to New York because of the waterfront and all the beautiful things there. There's Brooklyn Bridge Park, which very scenic and has a lot of landmark, imagery and just land that people can take advantage of and enjoy. Um, this neighborhood became popular through art and the artists first, and then everything else the same way it happens in other parts of America and other cities. The art gets pushed away after the neighborhoods get made cool, and then the rest comes in. So for me, being born and raised in Brooklyn, Dumbo has always been sort of a really peaceful refuge and also a creative vibe down here under the bridge for photographers, for models and people with small brands who need those great, lookbooks and shots for their merchandise and apparel and footwear and everything. So there's a lot of creative energy in this neighborhood. There's also a lot of schools in this neighborhood. So, schools like, NYU Polytech, their School of Engineering, New York City Tech, St. Francis College, Brooklyn Lab, which is one of the top high schools in Brooklyn, is down here. There's a wealth of educational institutions down here that make it easy to forge the partnerships and serve the people that we want to serve. So Dumbo was perfect.
And Sean, the last question I think for this conversation is, how does someone join the school? How do they enroll and start taking classes with you guys?
So we're going to start setting up now that the cat is out the bag. The website will be up soon, but the best way now for reaching me regarding any programs is through our LinkedIn page or through the Social Studies Instagram page. Very active on both. The website is a little behind schedule, but it'll be up soon. And then for our programs, we'll be happy, to, once they're available, push those out and let people know that they can apply for social studies programs. We've got some really great partnerships, hopefully, lined up to share for the rest of the year. And we also want to create the situation where there's no financial barrier to people taking advantage. So we're looking for partnerships and sponsors, which is another blessing to being in this neighborhood, is they do endorse, local organizations do endorse initiatives such as what we've put forth. So we're hoping to achieve a lot in terms of the partnerships and sponsorships so that we can constantly have the programming for all of this stuff we discussed free for everyone, and they don't have to have the reservations of a financial barrier.
Yeah, I hear that. And I want to have a conversation with you. I would typically have off the air, but I want to just do it to inspire others to get involved. But we want to be involved as FDRA. This is a phenomenal initiative, Sean.
We'd be honored.
This is a need that we have been highlighting for a long time and haven't found like the perfect connection point. We've worked with great organizations like Inroads to develop more corporate talent. But the industry well, you're in a great location and you have a passion for it. And so we want to partner with you. I also need your help on something because we've recently helped support the founding of the Sneaker Caucus, the Congressional Sneaker Caucus on Capitol Hill.
Yep.
And Congressman Jared Moskowitz, one of the co-chairs, has been talking to me behind the scenes about bringing a curation of sneakers to exhibit on the Hill. So you are the dude to do that. So I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine, and we'll enhance this partnership even further because I'm.
No, well, I want to say, I feel like honestly, with what you guys have done with FDRA for God knows how many years now, supporting all these initiatives that bring the megaphone to what the experience is like for people in the industry of color, and even the awareness of what the diverse career opportunities are for the footwear industry. We'd be ridiculously, humbly honored to help you with anything you need. And we're happy that we have you guys support and endorsement of what we're doing. So that's the reason why we had to build this, to be honest, is there were a lot of people who on paper saw that the Social Studies Community Academy looked good, but they couldn't quite put a concrete visual behind what it would be and all it would entail. So, the phrase build it and they will come comes to mind almost every day now, because that is what we needed to do in order to really now put this concept that was written down and presented very well, and all of the traveling and work we've done with colleges and universities, it wasn't solid. There wasn't a home. Yeah. So we had to build it now that people can see that there's an actual tangible physical space, institution, destination where all the things like what you just mentioned can happen.
Yeah, no, I love it. All right, we'll count us in. We'll talk about the details offline. I also want to give a shout out to Healing Souls, healingsouls.org, for those of you who want to be involved with that great organization and Sean's partner in this endeavor. So Sean, thanks again for coming on Shoe and Show and sharing your story, this great new initiative. And
thank you, guys.
You're always welcome back anytime, my friend.
I know, I love it. And I'm hoping to come back soon with some really good news.
Awesome, folks. This has been another really critical conversation for the shoe industry. This is such a dynamic industry. There's so many nooks and crannies of just excellence that we explore on a weekly basis on this program. Make sure you hit up Sean on LinkedIn. He's active there, as well as the Academy's page. You can find him there. Make sure you're downloading all of our episodes and subscribing and sharing this content with others in your company. And on behalf of Sean, Sabria, and myself, thanks for joining. Until next time, Shoe and Show is out.
Shoe-In has been brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit fdra.org.